So that's what the Prophet said, ثلاث مهلكات, you know, three things that destroy someone. شح مطاع, that شح مطاع. شح مطاع means every crave that you just follow. وهوى متبع, and hawa متبع means every desire. Shuh is like when you really like there's another level of ittiba'u nafs, is every crave, everything that you want, you just follow it. So you're you're a slave to your crave. Impulsively, right? Hawa muttaba, your imam is your nafs. Second thing. And the third thing, he says, وَإِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ, and a person who's fascinated by themselves. And the ulama, they say, what does this mean, a person who's fascinated by himself? We're like, no, I'm not impressed by myself. He says, a sign of a person who's impressed by themselves is they think their opinion is always right. That's what they think. وَإِعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ, someone who's always like, I have a great idea. Our elders don't like that. Don't say that. Leave that for someone else to say. I have an idea. Let someone else be the jury, whether it's good or bad. People, you know, us Desi youngsters, we always got a great business idea, like great business. How do you know it's a great business idea? Just say, I have a business idea. Khalas, that's it. Let the other person decide if it's great or bad. But the moment you present it as great, then you right away become defensive. No, but so وَيَعْجَابُ الْمَرْءِ بِنَفْسِهِ, and the Prophet said, وَهِيَ أَشَدُّ أَنَّ, of these three, this is the worst. Right? The fact that you think so highly of yourself. So that's why this dua would be beneficial for us, so we put ourselves on the side and let someone else be someone that decides for us.
He's giving the example in the parable, and this is again how scholars, good scholars, like really smart scholars, mashallah, they always have like some kind of like example that they can tie together. So he says, is it not the case that for a sick person, that when you're sick, you're not like in the mood to eat, you're not in the mood to drink, and sometimes actually your body can't take it. It's not even that you're in the mood, you have no appetite. Sometimes you can't eat, your body's just not, and that's why you go to the hospital and they put IV in you, right? Because they need to make sure you're getting hydrated, your nutrients. So he says, it's not the case for a sick person that when they're prevented from eating and they're prevented from drinking and they're prevented from taking medicine, that they would eventually die. And the people around him said, Bella, like, yeah, that's spot on, exactly. He said, it's exactly this way with the heart. If the heart is prevented from the wisdom and the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for even 3 days, then he said the heart dies. 3 days here, it doesn't have to be taken literally, but it's just speaking about a relatively normal amount of time. Like just like how long can a person last without food and drink and nutrients? We would say what, 1 week, 10 days maybe. And for us, like 1 week, 10 days is a very short amount of time. Like from this week to last week. I mean, what did you do last Thursday? What are you doing next Thursday? It's a short amount of time. So if the person is not engaging in some kind of knowledge, some kind of beneficial knowledge from the religion, it could be even reading one line of Qur'an a day and reflecting on it. I don't want people to leave this gathering thinking that now I have to become like the encyclopedia. Every morning I have to read, 3 ajza from the Qur'an. That's not what we're saying here. It's not about the amount, it's about the consistency. Prophet ﷺ was narrated by Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha that the most beloved of deeds to Allah are those which are consistent, even if they are small. So knowledge is something that you take every single day. It's nourishment. It's a spiritual supplement, a spiritual vitamin. So he quotes that statement. And then Imam al-Ghazali, he says, and this is the case, he says that he has spoken the truth. وَلَقَدْ صَدَقَ, like he has spoken the truth. He says, because verily, without a doubt, the heart lives and is nourished by knowledge. The food of the body is the food from the earth. And as Al-Ghazali says elsewhere, the food of the heart, it comes from the same place the soul came from. The soul came from the heavens, thus it can only be sustained by nourishment from the heavens, wahi. But the body came from dirt, and that's why you need to eat food from the earth, which is from dirt, in order for you to survive. So there's 2 pieces to every human being. We are very good at feeding one of those pieces. We're very good at it. Like I'm drinking this chai and I'm like, dude, what's in here? By the way, this is a very rookie mistake for me. I never drink open drinks. Not that I'm afraid of being assassinated or anything, but I'm always like, what's in here? What's it? And subhanAllah, it's amazing. And my body, I really wanted chai. And so whoever brought it here, may Allah Ta'ala bless you and reward you and give you the chai of Jannah with the Prophet ﷺ. I'm sitting in here and I'm drinking this and my body feels so nourished. But you can eat the most delicious food, have the most amazing drink, but if you're not praying, if you're not fulfilling your fard salah, if you're not sitting and listening to Qur'an, you are going to feel dehydrated spiritually. The heart is going to wither away and dry out. I want you guys, who here listens to like podcasts? Okay, so you're like into podcasts, right? You know those podcasts with instruments in the background, wink, 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 you know what I'm talking about? I.e., also known as music. Okay, I want you to try something. And this is not to shame anybody, judge anybody, right? Music, podcast, whatever. I want you on a time where you normally listen to these things. So for a lot of people, it's like morning time, they're driving, they're dropping off their kids at school or whatnot, and then they're going, they put on something. I want you just to go and type in your favorite reciter or your favorite surah from the Qur'an, whatever it is. So for me recently, I've been listening a lot to some of the reciters from Masjid al-Nabawi, because I'm missing Medina, so Ahmed Talib and these people. And wallahi, I'm telling you, there is something that is different about your day. It is different, and only people who do this will know it. Imam al-Ghazali, in another one of his books, he says like, you can't really understand it until you try it. So tomorrow morning, whatever you listen to on your drive, or tonight, you're driving back inshallah home safely, whatever you would normally listen to, change it for Qur'an. By the way, even if it's a lecture, let's say you're driving home, you're like, oh, I saw Shaykh Omar Sulaiman's face, I'm gonna listen to him. No offense to him, we played ball last night, right? I love him, we're brothers. But listen to some Qur'an and see how the Qur'an washes over your heart, rehydrating it, bringing it back to life. So he says, it is the case that if a person is far away from this, then inevitably they will end up, their heart will end up dying. Because the nourishment of the heart and soul comes from this knowledge and wisdom in the same manner that food nourishes the body. He says, whoever is away from food and whoever is away from, the knowledge, that person's heart eventually will fall sick. Just like if a person doesn't eat properly, their nutrition, their body will eventually become sick. And then what happens to a person's body when it becomes sick? He says, وَمَوْتُهُ لَازِمٌ. Like, inevitably their death is on its way. A sick body is inevitably going to die. A sick heart is inevitably going to die as well. And he says, however, the scary thing is, a sick person, at least they know they're sick because their body is kind of like it's not doing the things it normally does. It's
not responding.
Not responding. So let's say for example, you have like someone who's like coughing a lot. And you're like, hey, are you okay? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm fine. But they're saying they're fine, but they know that something's worrying them. You know, the other night I was trying to go to sleep and I had this like really weird pain in my shoulder. And I was trying to sleep and my wife's like, what's wrong? And I said, my shoulder's hurting. And she's like, oh, just, sleep it off. And I'm like, I'm trying. That's the whole point. I can't. You're trying to do normal things, but you can't do them because there's a pain somewhere. He says, the really difficult reality of the heart is that unless you're like very keenly aware of your spiritual state, these things can like slip by you very quickly and your heart will start to fall apart and you won't even notice it. وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, Allah in the Qur'an says. And they are completely unaware. So imagine like something that you didn't even realize, like when you hear the adhan, your heart becomes frustrated. There's people that like when they hear the adhan, may Allah protect us, their heart becomes like agitated. Oh, I gotta pray now. I'm in the middle of something. And it flips. As opposed to when your heart is healthy, when you hear the adhan in Medina or Mecca, or you hear the adhan in Ramadan, you get what? Very happy. Because the heart has been restored back to health during those times. So he says, the scary thing is that when the heart has this preoccupation with love of this world, when it's obsessed with the dunya, then he says that this preoccupation overtakes any other feeling that the heart can have. There's something that people who have diabetes, may Allah Ta'ala give us shifa, inshallah, and keep us healthy. They develop something called neuropathy. Neuropathy is the death of the nerve endings that give you the ability to feel. Okay, so like it's very common when people have diabetes and they don't, it's hard, it's tough for them, they don't manage it. That the nerve endings, right, due to a lot of caused low circulation, etc., at the end of their toes, at the end of their extremities, they can lose the feeling that they once had. It starts to tingle, and then eventually they can't feel it anymore. And I know this, my father actually had this. Right? My father's a diabetic, he had it in his feet. And so what happens is the doctor will say, subhanAllah, like one of the remedies for this is that you have to wear thick socks. because you don't want to risk bumping into something, cutting your foot, not knowing it, and then it can get an infection, and then something very serious could happen. And this is very, very common. People who have this condition, they struggle with this. The risk with neuropathy is what? Injury without being aware. That's the risk. There's a spiritual neuropathy as well. And that is injuring the heart without being aware. I'm watching something. I know it's haram to watch this, but I don't feel in my heart any sort of injury. I'm not feeling it. Right? Now, what's interesting, subhanAllah, is that imagine the same thing that I'm watching. We'll use TikTok because I've been, keep it consistent. Let's say that I'm on TikTok and I see something that's inappropriate, right? And instead of giving my nafs just a second to enjoy it or whatever, or laugh at it, haha, or enjoy it, whatever, I know that Mufti Abdul Rahman is behind me. What am I going to do? Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Right? Why? Because the value of good company brings your heart back to life. It gives you that sensitivity. Right? So being in the presence of people here, and that's why our teacher, subhanAllah, used to say, if you ever feel your nafs push you towards a desire that's haram, he just said, pray 2 rak'ah before you do it. He goes, you want to go to the club? Go. Just pray 2 rak'ah before you do it. We're like, Shaykh, that's weird. He's like, exactly. He said, exactly. Inna salata tanha 'anil fahsha. It prohibits you from this, right? So the heart being dead is what leads to common mistakes. If anyone in here has this question of like, why can't I get better? I want to get better. I know I have to get better. I see people around me getting better. Why can't I get better? Why can't I wake up for Fajr? Why can't I? It all comes back to the health of the heart. Inna fil jasadi mudghah. So he says the heart is there, and the preoccupation, this sickness overtakes any good sense. He says this is similar to how a person might have like this overwhelming fear. Okay? This fear that completely overwhelms this person. And as a result of this overwhelming fear, then he says it overtakes the immediate sense of pain. And even though the pain has occurred, he says the person's fear is just too acute in that moment. It's too acute in that moment for them. And then he says that eventually when death comes, it relieves this person from their worldly burdens and they sense their own end. They will stand there and they will say, my God, why did I let this time come and I was in this state? Why was I there and why was I in this state? And he says that this is similar to the sense of the one who is saved from what they fears and the one who has recovered from their drunkenness. So he gives now the analogy of the healing, that when the person does meet death at the end of their pain, then he says that this person actually, when they're in a good state with Allah, they celebrate that. They say that Allah Ta'ala took me in a state where my heart was good. And he says that regarding those injuries that afflicted the first person, that death was a relief. And regarding the heart being hit for the second person, that ending was a relief for them. And then he says that he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he seeks protection from Allah Ta'ala on the day when the veil is gone, when everything is removed. Because the heart, ultimately, the greatest mercy of Allah and the greatest test is that no one can see what's in your heart. And that's the challenge, right? The challenge is only Allah and you know who you are. We can all dress up like this. No, wallahi, jokes aside, we can wear as many costumes as we want. We can. One of my teachers, he was sitting giving a class and someone was praising him and he quoted the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet ﷺ says that verily Allah Ta'ala will aid this religion by a sinful person. Right? Bi rajul fajr. Allah Ta'ala will aid this deen by a sinful person. He quoted it. The person was reading his bio and the first thing he got up, he quoted the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help this religion by a sinful person. Which means like even the teacher, they might think like, oh, look at me. But in reality, Allah knows who you are. And He might put you up there because you're good at inspiring people, but you actually have to deal with your own accountability on the Day of Judgment. Just because you got up there and talked doesn't mean that you're going to have a free pass. That's not how this works. In Bukhari, what do we learn? The first of the people to enter Jahannam are who? The reciter, the person who gave, the one who fought for the sake of Allah. Right? The scholar and reciter, the one who gave, and we would think those are the first 3 people? Yes, because why? Because the actions were different than what was in their heart. يَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ مَا لَيْسَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, Allah says. They say with their tongues that which is not in their heart. So he says, we seek protection from Allah on the day when the veil is removed. And he says, indeed, people are asleep. And when they die, that's when they truly wake up. My son this morning at breakfast, he said, Baba, I had a crazy nightmare. I said, Astaghfirullah. I said, what happened? He goes, I can't even remember it. That's how this dunya is going to feel. When we die, it's going to be like, and instead of us like falling asleep, it's so ironic. When you die, the presentation of death is falling asleep. But the wahi of Allah tells us that when you die, the real experience is that you wake up. Not that you're falling asleep. People close their eyes, but really your soul is just being released. You know, one time, subhanAllah, I was talking to somebody and I was doing a lot of like work with community members who were experiencing family members who were passing away. And this brother told me a story of his mother passing away. And he said, his brother, he himself, at the time, not really too interested in like deen and things like that. So this was kind of a big moment for him. He was at the bed of his mother when she was passing. And he said that I was there, and he goes, I was there when the angel of death came in the room. And this guy, by the way, is like not the kind of guy to say this at all. He's very like, you know, not like, this is not his topic. But he goes, AbdelRahman, I was there when the angel of death came in the room. And I said, wow, like, how did you determine that? How did you feel that? He said that my mother started talking to him. And I said, what did she say? And he said everyone else around her thought that she was just like babbling. But she said, Age. Like, Age means like in order, like he's here. Yeah. And then she kept looking to the right and noticing. And then she said, he's here. And then he goes, I was close to her and I heard her say to him, can you just give me 1 minute for my family? I want to say goodbye. And then he leaned in. He realized his heart just took over. He realized at that moment what was happening, and he said, Mom, it's okay, we'll be fine. And then she said, Allah, and she just passed. Oh. And that was it. That is the experience that Imam Ghazali is saying of waking up. That is what's going to happen to each and every one of us. We hear those stories, we get really impacted, but that's the end of your story on this earth too. That's the end of all of our stories. So all we can hope for is that in this journey that we're on, this journey from point A to point B, from birth to death, that we're able to take some provisions from this knowledge that Allah Ta'ala has sent down and preserved through His beautiful messenger and through the companions of His messenger and through the tradition of scholars, so that we can live our lives in the best way possible. And I'll finish here. I'll let Mufti Abdul Rahman close for us. The purpose of seeking knowledge is not to become an encyclopedia, is not to become an impressive brain, is not to become that. The purpose of seeking knowledge is to change, All of the things that you want to accomplish in life, all of the things that you want to have in life, raise your hand if you want to have a good life. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to be healthy, happy. Yes, right? Imam Ghazali's argument in this chapter is all of those things are attached to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to have a good marriage, you have to know how the Prophet ﷺ taught us. You want to be good with your kids, you have to know how he taught us ﷺ. You want to have strong tawakkul in moments that shake your resolve, you have to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about being patient and being strong. All of these things come to us from our sacred sources, and that's why knowledge is not a luxury. It's essential. We ask Allah Ta'ala to connect us to His book and to His messenger, ﷺ. And Mufti Sahib will, inshallah, take from khitamuhu misk, yani, we'll take from your closing, a beautiful closing, inshallah.
I will, just end with this. The whole discussion started with people always ask about, the last part we just read about Mila bless you for those great examples that you explained about our hearts. When we don't feel it, what should we do? How should we revive it? Allah says that, is it not? It's true that we see. One of the things that we realize from this is that every soil that does not have any fruits and vegetation has a potential of it. Yeah. Right? There's no such thing as it, the potential is there, but now the effort needs to be made. Yeah. And the effort that Allah is encouraging us to make is, don't belittle these gatherings. This is gathering of ilm. Keep coming, and don't always go with feelings. And like, I went there, I felt good, and then afterwards I went back to my normal life. But we're not Abdul Lutf, we're Abdul Latif. We're not the slaves of feelings. We're the slave of the one who gives us feeling. We're the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these gatherings are, that's why this hikmah and ilm, it revives the heart. You need this constantly in your life. So it's not a thing that you have to sign up for Miftaah classes or Qalam or take 1 year out, but definitely at least once a week you should make a schedule to be in the gathering of ilm. At least once a week. Your local masjid, mashallah, people from IGD, MCWS, Ummah, different places. I mean, mashallah, I understand that we look at scholars and speakers and we go for them, but we need to move towards a point in our life where it doesn't really matter who's speaking. You know, it matters where we're sitting because the angels are there anyways.
Be a good listener.
Just be a good listener. You could benefit from anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, a generation before, we grew up in this community, and we grew up in a community when we were young where the scholars were speaking broken English. Like, we never understood what they were saying. Right? Honestly, you guys are lucky. And still people were impacted by that. Shaykh Muhammad Masmali's teachers, we were in Canada together, all of his teachers spoke only Gujarati, not even Urdu. Literally. And he became Hafidh on their hands. He became a scholar later on. And he's so impacted by them because at that point it's just like, this is the gathering of ilm. This is the gathering of ilm. This is the gathering of angels. So I need you all to commit to at least once a week that you will go to a gathering of ilm. Bismillah. Inshallah, you'll do that?
Inshallah.
And that's a fard. Look, you want to do more than that, good for you. But at least you need to know what the fara'id are. The Prophet Umar al-Khattabi says, "Inna li hadhihi al-qulub idbar wa iqbal." Like, these hearts have moments of motivation, and you feel like I can do 4 sessions a week, but then also going to have moments where you're not motivated. So he's telling us, in the moments of idbar, فَأَلْزِمْهَا بِالْفَرَائِض. In the moments where you're not feeling it, you need to know, this is my bare minimum, that I will not compromise on this. So whichever, and make sure it's something that's low-hanging fruit. If you want to drive 40 minutes, 50 minutes, it's good for you, mashallah, we're here. But I'm sure every masjid has something. Just be a good listener. We don't want masjids in this country to now become like churches that based on certain speakers, the gatherings get larger, and we don't want to do that. We want to do it based on we're there, whether there's a speaker or not. That's number one. Number two, even a step higher than that. You know, there's a stage from bad to good, and then from good to great. And I would say we as a community are trying to go from the good to great phase. You know, the things that will help you in the stage from bad to good, some of those things are not going to help you from good to great. You have to Allah did not say, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ أَسْهَلْ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. He said, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Allah said, and what's going to happen next will be better for you than the previous moment. Now, when you read this verse, you're like, wow, but that's not true because the Prophet's wife was still alive. His uncle was still alive. Bilal was still not dragged in the streets of Mecca. He still never saw Sumayya, shaheed in front of him. The things that happened after this verse make this verse questionable. Like, what is Allah saying over here? That what's going to happen next is going to be better. But the reality is, Allah did not say what's going to happen next is going to be easier. He said better. And actually, when you work out enough, the weight increases, right? And now, if the weight doesn't increase, that means you're not working out. Now you have capacity to take on more. So Allah is telling the Prophet, I'm going to give you more capacity. It's going to be better. But of course, there'll be difficulties. And then the tafsir of it is, it was better. When this verse was revealed, the Prophet couldn't even pray in front of the Kaaba. And by the time the end of the Prophet's life, 100,000 plus people were praying salah in front of the Kaaba. Bilal was giving adhan on top of the Kaaba. There was no idols in the Kaaba. Huge difference. So it did get better. So we have to go through that. So my second request to all of us is we in our once a week, we're talking about why is the gatherings of ilm that's so blessed? Because of the gatherings of angels. Now, where are the angels all the time? Masjid. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? The angels are there. As a community, brothers and sisters, our routine to the masjid has become Jum'ah. And even Jum'ah, we come and it's become very routine and ritualistic. You know what you need to practice if you want to get from good to great? You need to practice mukaffirat. You know what mukaffirat means? The Prophet in hadith, one day we should do Ibn Rajab Hanbali's Masail.
I would love it.
Wallahi, there's levels to this knowledge. There's the Majmu'ah Rasail Ibn Rajab Hanbali. He these guys just wrote their thoughts. Like, you'll be sitting there and just writing down things. just sitting, writing. And next thing you know, it's like 6 volumes of and they're not even called books, they're called risala, like that's a little text message. And the next thing you know, you're dissecting it for years after that. It's like, subhanAllah. So one of the majmu'ahs, he said he was sitting there one time and he started writing his reflections on one hadith. The hadith is, فِيمَا يَخْسِمُ الْمَلُ الْأَعْلَى. What are the angels in the heavens discussing? And the Prophet, Allah asked the Prophet, what do you think the angels in the heavens are discussing? Then the Prophet said, I don't know. And then Allah inspired him to say that the angels are discussing al-mukaffirat. Al-mukaffirat are those good deeds that completely wipe away your sins. Like, there's no record of it. Even there's certain things you can do legally that it will still be on your record. Yeah. Right?
Expunged.
But this is expunged, like completely gone. So what are those 3? Allah said there's 3 things. 3 things. One, of course, is walking to the masjid. Walking to the masjid. And the second is taking time and doing wudu properly. لا يحدث بها نفسه. The hadith of the Prophet is, this person does not even talk to himself. Hadith. Like the person is so attentive in wudu that he does not even let his own thoughts talk to him or her. That type of wudu. And the third, which I want you to practice, the second thing I was saying to you that we have to do from now, the third thing is intidaru salah ba'da salah. Wow. Like you just, after you pray one salah, once a week, try to do this. You pray one salah and then you sit in the masjid till the next salah. That's it. Once a week, every Muslim should do this.
Maghrib Isha, easy. Maghrib
Isha, if you're Hanafi, Asr, Maghrib, it's like 20 minutes. Right? It's like really it's like 15 minutes. Like you just pray Asr and you wait till Maghrib. Or once a week, figure out a time that works for you and just say, this is the time I'm going to sit in the masjid. At the beginning, it will be hard. What am I going to do? You're going to be with your phone and try to figure out. And then after a little while, you're going to start craving it. You can't live without it. And then after a little while, you're going to start trying to increase that. You don't have to go for a lecture. This right here is a gathering of angels. We need to see Muslims in our community. Stop, we got to get away from, this masjid, the board is like this and this person like that. No, the masjid is still the house of Allah. The nisbah is to Allah. The nisbah is to Allah, it's the house of Allah. And the angels are there too. Go, you don't have to go to Qalam, Miftaah, in these amazing institutions. You have your local masjid. Go there and sit there once a week if you want to get to that level, because this is a place of angels. Now you sit there, figure out what time works for you, and don't stop. We become very technical. So Shaykh, what should I do at that time? You know what? Do nothing. Yeah. Literally do nothing.
Unwind, relax.
Just sit there. But don't do, like, at the beginning you'll be on your phone, and after a little while you get off your phone, you'll start doing dhikr, you start doing things, and then you'll start seeing. Why? Because in our lives, the post-amal exercise of the community, it wipes away the effect of the amal.
Yes.
The post-amal, and I'm using the word generally as amal. Post-Jum'ah, whatever we just heard in Jum'ah, all we hear is this. Yeah, we're meeting in the back. So the post-amal, what we're doing right after an act, it kind of removes the effect of the act itself. We never let it marinate. We never, like right now when we get up, I would prefer we sit down for a few minutes and just reflect. And we get up, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he would speak to people and the Sahaba would sit so still, and birds could sit on their heads like that and they'd be motionless. This is actually not the kayfiyah of the Sahaba when the Prophet was speaking, because that's not that remarkable. This is after the Prophet left. They left and they were just stunned. They're like, what did he just say? And he would come back and they're still sitting in the same position. Unlike our gatherings, we get up and boom, it's gone. So once a week, try to make it a practice to sit in the masjid from one salah to another salah. Just sit there. Pray Maghrib and then stay till Isha. Pray Fajr, stay till Ishraq. You can do that as well. That's a shortcut.
30 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's it. Just pray Fajr till Ishraq. Don't do anything, sit in the masjid, and inshallah you will start seeing that will be the driving force to take you from good to great. You don't need, because from bad to good, you get inspired by Miftaah conference lecture. Yeah, you get inspired. You still should use that as inspiration, but that should lead you to this.